Hi, Carol. My name is Kelly, and I'm reaching out to you for a few reasons. First of all, I want to tell you and your family I'm so sorry about your husband and the pain that you've been left with. I really need to apologize for that. Um, I felt similar pain with my son, and I'll go into that in a second. But the reason I wanted to send a video to you was I signed your petition on June 6, 2016. It's now November 1st, 2016, and you only have like 500 or 600 more signatures. When I got your petition, I read over it and it made me absolutely furious. Absolutely furious. Never leave anyone behind. Yep, bullshit, obviously. And so what I did was I actually boosted it on my Twitter and Facebook. I have thousands of followers. So I boosted it and promoted it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, just trying to make sense of why our government isn't going to get them. As of the data, you have this data, as of September 19, 2012, the government confirmed that there were 314 unaccounted for. 108 Army, Navy, Marines, and then 200 in the Air Force. So then, after all my social media wasn't doing anything, because, it's the Vietnam War, that's past, and I was a year old when the war ended. And so you have a whole new generation, and then the older generation, when you talk to them about it, it's like, oh, I'm sure they're dead, they're not, all alive still, blah, blah, blah. Well, I happen to have an uncle, and unfortunately, he is retired. He worked under Colin Powell for many decades. He is a dignitary to foreign countries from the United States. He's pretty high up there. He flies to the Pentagon several times a year. Not since he retired, but he did. And so, since my social media wasn't doing anything, and it was making me more and more angry because it was correlating with my son's story, like I said, I'll get to in a second. So I called my uncle and I said, I have a petition here. Well, no, first let me back up. About 10 years ago, my uncle and I don't know where my aunt went, but we were talking, and he has his blood chit up on the wall in a frame. And so we got talking about Vietnam, and he goes, do you know what you really need to do is look up spring, summer 1968. See what we were doing then. And I'm like, what were you doing then? And he goes, we were doing a lot of bombing and a lot of things. And he really wouldn't expand upon it. And he goes, but I saw this one fierce crash. He goes, all the platoons circled and circled and circled, and we just couldn't find anybody. We couldn't find anybody, and that was just a great loss to all of us. So, fast forward to after I'm trying to do my social media here, and I call my uncle, and I first asked him, why are we leaving them there? Why aren't we getting them? I mean, the government has special forces that can go into any country and get anybody they frickin' want. We just invade whoever the hell we feel like it. Why aren't we getting our POWs back, especially our Vietnam POWs, with what they went through and what a horrible war? Why aren't we getting them? And he said, oh, Kelly, they're long dead, and there is no more POWs because they They got them all, is what he said. And so I hung up the phone with him, and I was thinking, I'm like, that does not make any sense to me at all. None whatsoever. If he was sitting in Laos in a dirt cave, I think he'd be thinking something different, but he's not. So I went over to his house. I had your petition, and I gave it to him, and he looked at it, and he read through it. I said, look, this man has been interviewed. They have had sightings. We need to get people over there to get our people back. And I said, why aren't we doing it? And he put down my tablet, and he turned and looked at me, and his face completely changed, and his eyes went totally black. And he goes, you stay in your need to know area. And then he just stared at me. I mean, my aunt was my aunt came in, and she saw that, and she was kind of like ready to jump in, not sure if he was going to kill me or not. I mean, it was, you keep yourself in your own concern. And so that told me right there that there's something going on. There's a reason we're not getting them. There's a reason. I have also called several veterans, POWs, you know, all these different people. And, you know, they all give me, oh, there is no POWs. Oh, I'm sure they're dead by now. Well, of the 314 unaccounted for, I'm sure that probably 90%, 95% are dead or missing, presumed dead. But you still got POWs, and we know they're alive. So, I did more research after my uncle did that, because that just told me it's a cover-up. What it's a cover-up for, I don't know. Why he wouldn't admit, because your husband ejected out. He said 4 platoons flew around several times, and nobody was ejected or any signs of life or anything. And so, for some reason, that moment in time, May 15th, 1968, the day your husband was captured, that was a special mission. It was something. I don't know what it was, but I know that everyone is keeping their mouth shut and just saying, oh, you cute little girl, just go ahead and worry about your own stuff. Well, I'm not going to worry about my own stuff. So then I was like, okay, let's be fair. How many POWs were in Iraq? Like 8. Full biographies on them. I think there was a movie about Jessica Lynch. Ridiculous. I mean, and there was 8 of them. 8 or 10, something like that. But yet we're denying that our men even exist. It's so anyhow, the reason that your husband's case has resonated so much with me, and over the last several months, every time I see your email come through, I had to archive it because I can't read it. I get tears in my eyes and my heart breaks, and I'll tell you why. I had, my son is severe bipolar, and he got into trouble, and so the state decided to take him to baby jail, juvie, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. And from the ages of 14 to 15 and a half, he was put in the shoe, and in the shoe there's a very dim lamp, no window, and a blanket and a toilet, and they don't get out. And my son was in there for a year and a half at 14, 15 years old. And he has severe bipolar, which they wouldn't give him as medicine. So every day I am aching. He's able to write me letters, and he's telling me these horrible things they're doing to him. And I called, and I called. I showed up at the governor's frickin' Capitol building. I'm like, you can't do this to my son. You can't. What are you doing to him mentally? What are you doing? No one cared. No one cared. I got a hold of the ACLU, thinking, okay, help. And they were like, oh, well, you know, we need more than one going through this in order to build a case, because it is the civil liberties. All right, whatever, I get it. So then I contacted the NAACP because my son was black. And the head minister through NAACP, who's also an attorney, told me I should probably ask my white family for help. And they weren't going to help. After my son got out of solitary, he was biting out the veins in his arms, and he was doing all this behavior, and he had just been in a box for a year and a half. And he's doing all these strange things, and what they did was they noted them down as criminal incidents, even though he wasn't doing anything to anybody. It was for him. And then a couple of years later, he got transferred. I'm sorry, I don't mean to. I really thought I could hold my composition here. Anyhow, a while later, he was moved to a new unit. And there were a group of 5 people who were threatening him. Daily, every day, all the time. He sent 5 in prison. They're called kites, which is a note or a letter to the guard or anybody you want. He sent 5 kites to the warden saying, I need to be moved. Please move me. Please, please move me. And he got denied all 5 times. And then it was a week, I want to say a week and a half later, he was taking a shower and he was stabbed 4 times by one of the guys he wanted to get away from. And so, even though our stories are the same, you know, they're millions of miles apart, Carol, the pain, I mean, I'm sure it's gotten easier as the years go by. Mine really hasn't. My son's 26 now. And it's still there. And I am so sorry for your pain. And I'm so sorry. And then when you sent the petition that Obama was going to Laos, I'm like, yes! Obama's going to Laos! And so then, like I said, I have to put your emails in an archive folder I have of yours because I tear up every time I see them. So I was so happy. And then I was wondering, you know, whatever happened with it. And then your next email said something like the government lied. And I'm like, what? But Obama went to Laos. So I pulled up blogs.state.gov, which is the government's blog site, I guess. And you know what I'm going to say. If it's killing me, it's going to be killing you. Over $100 million has been given to Laos since Obama's been in office. And I voted for Obama, and I love Obama. But not with this. Over $100 million. It's like 159 million or 1.5 billion. I don't know how much it would be. That Obama has invested over his 2 terms to Laos to help their economic development and to help get rid of the 80 million UXO bombs, or whatever they are. You know what I'm referring to. Because they're killing the Laos people. 20,000 in 40 years have been killed because these are still active. So we're just going to throw, oh my gosh, I don't know. Well, the total comes to 159 million or 1.5 billion, I don't know. He's investing all of this money, and he is, one of the articles said, a critical part of our relationship with Laos involves addressing the legacy of war. We are working to account for the remaining Americans listed at POW MIA in Laos. Well, what are they doing? They aren't doing shit, is what they're doing. Okay. And then the next part says, we also discussed recent steps to further ease U.S. sanctions, and said that an additional $21 million in development assistance to support the economy and to combat human trafficking in Laos. No one cares, Carol. No one cares. No one cared about my son. I just suffered through every day. And this war ended when I was a year old, so your suffering started 4 years before I was even born. I am so sorry. And I want to help you. I want to help you. It took me months to make this video because I thought I was going to sob all the way through it. But I want to help you. I don't know what to do. You went to Obama. You got Obama's attention. I went to my uncle, who was very, very, very high up in the military. And I just got this horrible look that told me that I hit some. I hit some. That day and time meant something to our military. It meant something. What did it mean? Why that moment in time? And why are we helping them develop their society instead of going to the corners of Laos where we've last known the POWs to be? I mean, if we're on that good at terms right now with Laos, then we need to be down there searching for our people. In one article I read, I'm not sure if it was on your website or not, but one article I read said that, if the military goes down there, you know, and some of the people come up and say, oh, we have military bones or a grave or whatever, then we'll bring them back. You know, that's how we're getting them back. You know, the people are telling us blah, blah, blah. Well, then get some people and talk to a whole bunch of people. Carol, I am with you on this, and I want to do something. I just don't know how further up we can go. I mean, you and your son went and interviewed the writer that interviewed your husband. I mean, who do we contact? Who do we contact? There's no one else to contact. What do we do? I mean, luckily, my son got out of his situation alive, and I don't know how. That was a miracle. And you might just be waiting on a miracle too, but how do we get down there to find out? What do we do? Carol, I'm with you. I'll take out signatures. I'll get signatures off the street. I will do whatever you need me to do. My social media, I'll start blasting it on there again. To hopefully get some more signatures. And the signatures do matter because I did a change.org for my son, because of what they were doing to him. And I only got 54 people to sign it, but that's okay. Because, you see, I'm kind of a bitch. And when you start messing with my boy, I'm going to scream and yell. I mean, I'm heartbroken, and I'll do that in the privacy of my home. But when I'm out in public, I want to know why you did this. What my son did to deserve this. In people's faces. I got no problem with that at all. None. How can I help you? What can I do? There's got to be something we can do. We have special forces. We have groups not affiliated with the United States that go into foreign countries and save journalists or children that were stolen by their absent parent or whatever, and they bring them back. It's kind of like an underground. Where are those people? We need to find those people. I don't know. I don't know where you are in this. I don't know what I can do. But I want you to let me know. I do. Because I'm angry. I went down, actually, real quick. I know this is getting long. I went down to a military recruiting station that happens to be just a little bit from my office. And the security guard who opened the door for me, I don't think he was military, but I asked to see their highest commanding officer. And they said, well, our highest commanding officer isn't here, or no, the highest one, but we do have so-and-so here. So so-and-so comes out, and he's my age. I looked at him and I said, you're my age. You weren't in the Vietnam War. And he goes, no. And I said, I need someone who does or has in-depth knowledge of the Vietnam War. And he goes, oh, we're just a recruiting station. And I said, oh, well, you can't give me a referral. You can't give me. And then it clicked in my head. My uncle is about the highest referral I can get. And the look he gave me just told me that moment in time something, I don't know. And so after that I walked out and I was kind of like, okay, well, I need to do this video now and get it to you. Privately I can tell you what state I'm in. And my last name, but I can't do it on the video because if my uncle finds this, I'll disappear. Guaranteed. So please, tell me what I can do. I'm going to email you the link to this video so you'll have my email. Let me know. Let's get a group. They have all these environmental groups. Let's form an environmental group and go down there and frickin' search. I mean, I'm just so frustrated. So frustrated that no one will help a child in need or a soldier left behind. Aren't those two things part of the foundations of this country? Okay. I'm going to stop rambling now. I'm going to get this uploaded and sent to you. So please respond back. Let's do it. Whatever we need to do, I'm with you 100%. So please let me know what you need. And my prayers have been with you and your family for months. And I just had to express that pain of not knowing. Where is he? Is he being fed? Are they beating him? What are they doing? That's a horrible feeling to carry, Carol. And I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to quit crying now. I'm going to get this uploaded, and I will hopefully talk to you soon. Thanks, Carol.